My dear sisters and brothers in Christ, the release of information related to the preliminary investigation into allegations against former Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston Bishop Michael Bransfield has caused tremendous pain for the Church in West Virginia, where I have served as apostolic administrator for these past 8 months. I wanted to share some additional insights and perspective given the intense media coverage, which is both understandable and expected. The investigation, which I was asked to conduct on behalf of the Holy See, determined that the allegations of sexual harassment of adults by Bishop Bransfield are credible. It also determined that during his tenure, Bishop Bransfield engaged in a pattern of excessive and inappropriate spending, and that he misused church funds for personal benefit on things such as personal travel, dining, liquor, luxury items, and gifts. Friends, there is no excuse nor adequate explanation that will satisfy the troubling question of how Bishop Bransfield's behavior was allowed to continue for as long as it did without the accountability that we must require for those who have been entrusted with so much, both spiritual and material, as bishops and pastors. To that end, I wish to address my own receipt of financial gifts from Bishop Bransfield, who sent what I took to be gifts from him that were personal and given on occasions over the years, mostly at the holidays, and including my installation as bishop. These gifts totaled $7,500. Now, in light of what I've come to learn of Bishop Bransfield's handling of diocesan finances, I've returned the full amount to the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, and I have asked that it be donated to the work of Catholic Charities there. News coverage has also reported that I asked that my name and the name of other bishops who received similar financial gifts over the years from Bishop Bransfield be omitted from the final text of the preliminary report. At the time, I believed it would be a distraction to select particular individuals for identification who had received gifts, and that it would raise questions as to why we selected some individuals and not others. The basic point the report tried to make is that gift giving was part of Bishop Bransfield's excessive spending, and that this point could simply be made by indicating the totals and the categories of peoples who received gifts. None of the members of the investigative team objected to this, and the changes were made. It should be noted that the investigators found no evidence to suggest that there was any expectation of reciprocity in return for financial gifts from Bishop Bransfield. But if I had to do it over again, especially at a time when we're trying to create greater transparency and accountability, the report would have included the names of those bishops who received gifts, including my own, with some notation that there was no evidence to suggest that those who received gifts reciprocated in any way that was inappropriate. Transparency also includes admitting when a mistaken judgment has been made. That is certainly the case here. It's important to note that the investigation was preliminary in nature and commissioned by the Holy See. I was entrusted with ensuring that the investigation was carried out thoroughly and competently, and then conveying those findings directly to the Holy See for the further judgment and action ultimately of the Holy Father. It wasn't until this week that I received permission to share details of the report. In addition to the credible allegations of sexual harassment of adults and the unhealthy culture that the former bishop created, much of the media coverage has rightly been focused on the extravagant and egregious spending and misuse of church funds by Bishop Bransfield during his tenure. I have been working with members of the Finance Council of the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston over these past many months to assess lapses in financial controls and to revive good practices that were subverted while putting in place more stringent practices and safeguards to prevent abuses like this from happening again. With all of the priests, deacons, and religious and laity of the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston, I pray earnestly for the appointment of a new shepherd for that diocese and for one who will embody Christ's spirit of humility, compassion, care, and concern, and service. Friends, this cannot happen soon enough. But in the meantime, I do ask you humbly to pray for and to do all that you can to assist us in working toward the healing that's so needed in these difficult days. We cannot allow ourselves to be distracted from the urgent work of the faith, nor from our commitment to living and spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. At the same time, we will not relent in our determined efforts to bring about the reform and renewal of the Church and to restore the credibility, confidence, and trust of the faithful in those of us who are charged with the awe-inspiring responsibility to lead, shepherd, and most of all to serve with true Christ-like humility, care, and concern for others. I want to assure you that you are in my constant prayers and could not be more grateful for all that you do to provide abundant evidence of Christ and His Spirit at work and living among us. God bless you and keep you in His loving and constant care.